Welcome back, Legends, to another episode review and breakdown for DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 6. This time is Episode 5, which was a great episode. It was definitely, I feel like it was kind of slow to start off, but once you got into it, it was really an amazing episode. Really, you can tell that just based on this episode, there are no limits for the Legends. They take it to the next level on everything. Once you think something like if there's ever something you think they won't do on the show, they're probably going to do it at some point. And they did it in this episode. They literally went completely animated and had like talking forks and talking cheese and everything, and it was crazy. I really enjoyed the episode. Huge improvement from last episode, which actually was a couple weeks ago. Which personally I actually kind of got bored with that episode. That's why I didn't do a video on it, because I just didn't feel like it. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. But before we get into this, of course, spoiler warning if you haven't seen the episode yet, because we are breaking it down in depth, and let me know your favorite parts of the episode in the comments below. But anyways, guys, let's get into this and break down this episode of DC's Legends of Tomorrow. So this episode really is Astra's. This is an episode all about Astra Logan. We start off the episode with her trying to get used to mortal life, and well, it's miserable, and yeah, definitely easy to relate. Life's got its rough patches, and she's just experiencing all of them at once here, so she's going through some tough times here. But that is when she goes just looking around through John's attic, because of course she is staying at John Constantine's manor. So she's in his attic and finds this painting who actually starts talking to her, and this guy says that he is Aleister Crowley. So this talking painting basically just keeps talking to her and is trying to convince her to let him out. And we get that in this episode, because he wants to teach her how to use her magic, because she doesn't she's kind of a newbie when it comes to magic and doing spells and everything. So he's like, oh, I'll teach you and all that stuff. But you can tell from the beginning that he is 100% going to double cross her. And she even thinks that at first, but then she's like, oh well, I'll just let you out. Because as he is telling her about this thing, guess who walks in? None other than John Constantine. Of course, they get into a fight. She gets mad at him. So she just learned how to exchange bodies. So of course it happens. She puts John in the painting and brings Aleister Crowley out into John Constantine's body. So again, definitely something that was super predictable and you saw coming miles away. But at the same time, it was so awesome, especially because Matt Ryan, who of course plays John Constantine, the acting here from him was so good. How he just automatically went from John Constantine to automatically Aleister Crowley mode, and like all his mannerisms and the way he carried himself was really awesome. Because I'm personally an actual actor in real life, obviously, you know, just like school plays and stuff. But like as an actor, I see things like that, and that was just really cool to see. Matt Ryan's a great actor. He's so good as Constantine, and he was great here as Aleister Crowley. But obviously this is not a good thing, because now you have Aleister Crowley out there, and he's mischievous, and he's trying to double-cross Astra. And at this moment, she's kind of against everybody. She just wants to learn how to become more powerful and learn all these spells and stuff. So then another thing that's just really bad timing is that the Legends walk in, of course, after their mission in the last episode, because they don't have the Wave Rider anymore, because Mick went off with that, doing his own thing to try and stop the aliens. So they kind of just show up at Constantine's manor and are expecting like, oh yeah, we'll be welcomed here. But again, she's kind of in a mood, so she does the same exact thing to them that she did to John, and exchanges them into all these different objects. So we got Nate is turned into a wheel of cheese. Bayrod is like a candlestick. Spooner is coincidentally a fork. You would have thought she'd be, you know, a spoon, but of course she's a fork instead. And Zari is a flip phone. And I love how each of them make little jokes about this, like how Zari, like, she's a flip phone. She's like, oh, I'm a flip phone. You know, like, because she's like obsessed with phones, but actual like cell phones. And let's see, Ava was a book. So it was honestly hilarious seeing all of them here in these different crazy forms, and we see them actually more in action later on in the episode. But then after this, Crowley really kicks things up a notch with his evil master plan, because he, I don't remember how he explained it to Astra, but basically he comes up with he reveals to her that, like, yeah, we need to go steal a soul to basically do whatever we need to do. So she calls over her neighbor, Robert, her racist neighbor, Robert, who we saw at the beginning of the episode, who I thought was just going to be a throwaway character, like, oh, it's just in this one scene. But no, he returns later, and she is basically about to kill him. She is about to steal his soul, but then she hesitates, she stops, and she's like, no, I'm going to let you go, I'm going to give you the chance to escape. But, of course, Crowley shows up again and gets the job done, just rips his soul right out of him. So Robert's dead anyway. I mean, like, he wasn't really a good guy, so it's not a huge loss, but at the same time, like, another dead body just lying around the house. So that happened, and that was definitely not good, because that was the big thing that Crowley needed to basically power up. So now Astra can't stop him. She can't put him back in the painting. He is basically unstoppable at this point. So he then actually turns her into a princess and turns this whole world animated. So we go full animated mode, full Disney princess. Astra's a literal Disney princess right here, and definitely reminds me of Beauty and the Beast, because then she calls in the legends, and you literally have Astra, the Disney princess, teaming up with all these household items, just like in Beauty and the Beast. So that was honestly kind of awesome here, seeing that, just seeing a wheel of cheese and a fork and all these different things go up and battle against a demon that actually coincidentally looked like John Constantine until he actually did transform into an actual demon, which was pretty cool as well. But the way that Astra defeats him is by using this cleansing spell that was created by her mother, and it's actually a song, which, by the way, as a Disney princess in this animated form, Astra can basically only sing. That's like her main thing here, so she's just singing all the time. And so then she sings this song and is able to defeat Crowley, and he's put back into the painting. Everybody is back into real life, live action, not animated anymore. So the day is saved, or at least you think it is, and they put Crowley back up in the attic. Of course, John puts duct tape over his mouth so he can't say anything else. But one thing he kept mentioning here in this episode was the Fountain of Imperium, which is like some sort of alien thing out there with like endless power. And I feel like this is some sort of foreshadowing or some sort of hint to the future of this season, and what could be our main villain's big plan is to maybe harness this power. And again, I'll talk about that main villain later when we talk about Sara and all that stuff. But then also a big reveal here is that using this spell to stop Crowley not only took away his power, but also the power of John Constantine, because that was actually kind of the whole point of this spell that Astra's mother made, was to stop John. So he's stripped of his powers. He basically loses all of his knowledge of all these spells. So he decides that he and Astra, they're going to start spending some more time together, and he's going to stop neglecting her, and they're basically going to learn all of these spells and learn magic together. They're going to be study buddies. So that's pretty awesome. And basically she's going to be joining the legends, because I mean, it's kind of been weird that she didn't, but now she's basically an official legend, and she's going to be training with John, which is honestly kind of awesome. I don't like the decision that like John just lost his powers, but at the same time, it is a good excuse to have those two spending more time together. But now let's talk about Sara, because as we saw at the end of the last episode, she met our main villain, and we lead on right after that cliffhanger there in this episode, where we find out that his name is Bishop. So Bishop is our main villain here, and he gives her the antidote for the from that plant or whatever that bit her. And so then she's good, but then all of a sudden she passes out. And when she wakes up, there is one of the Ava clones that is her nurse. And we find out that Bishop is actually the one that created all of these Ava clones. And Bishop actually gives this presentation to her to basically show off his whole plan here. So basically, Earth and all these humans was like, oh, they're great, but then all of a sudden they're greedy and they're violent and all this stuff. So everybody died, and he is the only survivor. So what he wants to do is restart the human race in space with these alien hybrid human people, which honestly sounds pretty cool, but we saw an example of that with Amelia Earhart the other episode, and there's some malfunctions, so definitely not a good thing. But he wants Sara to be his partner, and obviously she is completely against that. But in the end of the episode, with our cliffhanger here, we see that Ava and, one of the Ava clones, the one that's Sara's nurse, teams up with Sara to escape, but then she actually double crosses her and is like, oh, never mind, I was actually working for my master this whole time. But then there's this crazy fight, and we find out the bishop actually has all the DNA samples of all the subjects, so he's already got that ready to go. But then Sara actually snaps his neck and kills him. But then that's when she wakes up and realizes that was all like a simulation. And that is where the episode ends. So it was kind of a weird ending, but at the same time, still awesome and cool at the same time. It gives us more teases of this mysterious bishop that is going to be our main villain of the season. We're already like almost halfway through the season, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. Again, I thought this was a great episode. I really enjoyed all the elements, because one of the things I don't like with these Arrowverse shows a lot of the times, especially in recent times, is just like when they have like 6 different storylines going on and things just get super confusing. So I like how it was simple in this episode, where you just had the main 2 storylines. You had the Sara one, and then you had the one with Astra and her whole thing. So I like that they kept it simple, they kept it basic, and they really had time to explore both of these storylines in this episode, and I thought it was great. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts on this episode down in the comments below, and stay tuned for next week's episode review and breakdown of DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and stay tuned for probably about an hour or 2 from now for my episode review and breakdown for the latest episode of Batwoman Season 2. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything goes on in the DC life.